the word integration. Well, these were terms that apparently, I don't know who came up with them, but apparently the white supremacists came up with both the terms racial segregation and racial integration without giving them any definitions or how to quantify when you have it and when you don't have it, when you have racial segregation and when you don't have racial integration. They didn't give it any definitions that you can quantify. What do I mean by quantify? That you can measure. So they just said, well, we're trying to get rid of segregation, or we should, and we should integrate. Okay, how are you going to integrate racism? You don't integrate racism. You eliminate racism. And what do you mean by eliminating racism? Give things definitions. You eliminate racism when you don't have anybody dominating and mistreating people based on color. So it doesn't have anything to do with how close you stand to someone. I started thinking about that back in the 1950s when I first heard the terms racial integration. Does anybody know where these terms came from originally? I mean, the first person that used the term racial integration, does anybody know that person's name? These are the kind of questions to ask when you start hearing terms that come out of nowhere. Because usually the white supremacists are the usual suspects when you hear any terms that have to do with race. You hear a term that you never heard before. I don't think most people think about that. I wasn't thinking about it until I did think about it. And that was many years after I'd been hearing it, racial integration. So I started asking questions, which is what you do to solve any problem. How do you know when you are a racially integrated Negro? This is the questions that I asked back in the 1950s. How do you really know when you wake up in the morning and say, oh, last night I finally, it's official, I am now a racially integrated Negro? Well, what does that mean? Do you become racially integrated when you are 3 feet away from a white person rather than 4 feet away? You say, well, I'm 4 feet away, so I'm not integrated yet. So I'm going to move just a little closer to this white person standing on a bus stop, and bingo, now I'm 3 feet away. I'm now a racially integrated black person. Everything is all right from here on in because I'm just 3 feet away. I mean, how do you know? What do you measure it by? Do you say, well, I walked into this building now where there are some white people in this building, even though it's a plantation house?
Yeah.
You know, am I integrated now?